Back in 2016 and 2017, assignment sales were the story. People were flipping contracts, not homes, for six-figure profits overnight. I have a colleague who assigned a unit in the Vancouver house and walked away with $1 million profit. Back then, it was easy money. And like all easy money, it didn't last. The hype pulled in thousands of hopeful investors, people who never intended to close, convinced they could flip their way to fortune. But the music stopped fast. Developers started denying assignments, the market cooled dramatically, and what once looked like guaranteed profits have turned into devastating losses. Today, I'm going to pull back the curtain and show you just how bad it's actually gotten. I'll share a chart that shows the complete collapse of the assignment market, down 95% since the peak. Then we'll go behind the scenes to show you a private realtor-only page that demonstrates some of the significant losses people are willing to take today. It shows assignments being offered at jaw-dropping losses. You'll see a 399 square foot studio in Surrey being sold at $100,000 less than the original buyer paid. Plus a 2-bedroom condo in Kerrisdale being sold at $500,000 less than the original price. These are real listings and real people facing real financial pain. Every single listing on that page is being offered at a loss. The level of desperation that we're seeing is like anything we've witnessed in years. This isn't about just the end of what was once an investment strategy. It's a warning for anyone who once thought that real estate was just a one-way bet. Let's have a look. When the real estate market slows down like it has over the past 3 years, sellers are finding that their listings sit longer and longer on the market, and they often have to reduce their price just to attract buyers. What becomes even harder to sell in a slow market like this are pre-sales. You've likely heard how much that industry is suffering, with sales rates at historic lows, down as much as 95% in some areas. Go view this video next to learn more about just how bad it is. But there is another segment of the marketplace that is even harder to sell than pre-sales, and that is assignments. What is an assignment, you might ask? Well, quite simply, this is the contract that someone has on a pre-sale property and are looking to flip or sell that contract to another person who will become the buyer of that home. It sounds easy enough, but in today's market, it's anything but. Being in the real estate industry, I hear far too many stories of people that were told the dream that they could purchase a pre-sale contract and just flip it for a profit. The reality today is much different, and here's why. First up, assigning a property or assigning a contract is not always allowed by the developer. Even if the original contract states that assignments are allowed, they almost certainly also state with developer approval. That may have provided the purchaser with enough comfort to move forward with the purchase. But now that they want to assign the contract, they are discovering that the developer is just saying no. Now, why? Why would a developer not allow an assignment? Well, developers will often include a clause where X% of a building must be pre-sold in order for assignments to be allowed. So even in a tower of, let's say, 300 units, if there are only a handful left to still be sold, the developer basically doesn't want any competing listings in the marketplace and won't allow assignment sales. Now, if the building is sold out and the developer is allowing assignments, there can still be significant headwinds for the seller. Sometimes it's stated that the assignment cannot be sold for less than the original purchase price. That's not going to fly in today's market. What's more, assignments are rarely allowed to be marketed publicly. Not on the MLS, not on the realtor's newsletter, not on social media. Ultimately, they can only be sold if the realtor just happens to know somebody who is looking to purchase an assignment in that building and they have that personal connection or relationship with them. And even then, most assignments are only allowed when the building is getting close to completion, meaning that the developer will only provide a small window of time for that assignment to be sold. Sometimes that can be upwards of 6 months. But for example, I recently had a client this year want to assign her studio. She didn't buy it with me, but she reached out for my help to try and sell it. The developer did in fact allow MLS marketing of the assignment, but they only provided a 2-week window to try and get it sold. I let her know the chance of that happening was basically zero. Plus, I didn't want to take on the realtor fees and the marketing time it takes to try and sell with such a limited time frame. On top of all of these other challenges, developers will often charge an assignment fee. This can average around 1 or 2%, but I've seen developers charge as much as 5% for an assignment. For all these reasons, you get an idea of why assignments are incredibly hard to sell. And it's also really important to note that if you assign your contract, you're assigning your right, but not your responsibility. What that means is if you are actually able to successfully assign your contract to somebody else, but that buyer ultimately does not close on the sale, well, the developer comes after the original purchaser for the money. You could still be on the hook and face a potential legal battle if you're unable to close. Okay, let's get into the numbers now. So understandably, tracking off-market sales is next to impossible. So I'm going to show you the history of assignment sales that were allowed on the MLS to give you a really good insight into what's also happening in the shadow market. Have a look at this. This chart I created dates back to 2015 when there were 92 assignments sold on the MLS. The hype of 2016 and 2017 is very clear when assignment sales online jumped to 267. But then in 2018 and 19 and 20, that market cooled, lowering them down to 84. We all know 21, 22, 23 were hot years again in the Vancouver real estate market. And you saw those assignment sales lift up to about 187. Market cooled again. 2024 dropped to 98. And look at this. In year 2025, year to date, there have only been 11 assignments sold on the MLS. That is a complete collapse of the assignment market, down 96% since that 2017 peak. Today, there are 61 condos listed on the MLS as an assignment sale, and they have an average price of $1,266,000. When we compare that to the average resale list price for a condo, well, that's $1,070,000. This gives you even further insights as to why these are just so hard to sell. That price premium is a significant gap. The total amount of listings on the MLS today for Greater Vancouver is just over 17,000. And as noted, of those, 61 are assignments. This shows us that there's only about 0.35% of all active listings are assignments, at least publicly, because off market, there are hundreds. And when you get a look at them, you'll get a good understanding of the desperation out there. Here is the Facebook group for assignments in Greater Vancouver. It is a private group, and my understanding is that only realtors are allowed in. I mean, feel free to try and join. You might get access. I don't have any affiliation. I don't control this page. But either way, here is a look at the assignments that are being offered within that page. Quick side note, I am removing the realtor's contact information here because there's a decent chance that some of these are being marketed without developer consent. I'm not here to call anyone out. I just want to share this information as I find it very valuable to get an understanding what's happening in the assignment marketplace. Have a look at these. First up, look at this one. Loss, loss, loss. Below original purchase price. This property is being sold at $84,000 less than its original purchase price. Next up, this condo in Burquitlam is a hot deal, apparently. It is $88,000 below the original contract price. Here is that studio I mentioned earlier. It's in Surrey Central. It's about 399 square feet. Original purchase price, $433,900. Now asking only $339,000. It's a $95,000 drop. Here we go. Have a look at this one. Emergency, loss, 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 unbeatable price. This was originally purchased for $904,900, now listed just under $800K. It's an over $100,000 loss on this condo. Here's another one in Burquitlam. Original price, $885, now down to $779. We have a $106,000 discount on this two-bed condo. And lastly, here's the biggest one I could find. This is a Kerrisdale penthouse for sale. It is 2 bedrooms, 3 bath. It's over 2,000 square feet. But look at this. Huge loss, over $500,000 below the original contract price. These demonstrate the size of losses some buyers are willing to take to get out of their contract. It's a very unfortunate situation, and I do feel bad for anyone taking these types of financial losses. Keep in mind, Some of these could very well be literal dream homes that people bought pre-sale only to have a major life event happen. Maybe they lost their job and simply cannot find new work. They could be facing serious illness or maybe even got into a life-altering accident. They could have lost their partner to cancer. Life can throw horrific curveballs, and people may be just doing anything they can to slightly improve their situation. So it's not always greedy investors getting what they deserve. The assignment market is a good example of how the real estate industry can shift from frenzy to fallout. What was once seen as easy money has now become a cautionary tale. Behind every listing offered at a loss is a story. Sometimes it's speculation gone wrong, but other times it's life-changing in ways that nobody could have predicted. It's also a reminder that real estate is not meant to be a quick trade. It's meant to be a plan, a foundation, a home to live in. For anyone navigating today's real estate market, whether you're buying, selling, or holding, understanding these lessons matters more than ever. So thanks so much for watching. I truly hope you found today's episode helpful. If you are interested in learning more about assignments, or maybe I haven't completely scared you off and you're interested in exploring properties that are available for $500,000 off their original price, I'd be happy to share more of these off-market listings with you. Feel free to reach out anytime. All my contact information is below. Thanks and take care.